What's up, Facebook family? Brother Leander here with a Brother Leander Moment. Happy Friday, everybody. I know some of y'all work saying, thank God it is Friday. I'm saying the same thing. I got to load out today. But, thank God it's Friday. I pray my strength in the Lord. We're going to do this quick little, I don't know how quick it's going to be, but Brother Leander Moment. What is manna in the Bible? We're just going to call this the miracle in the wilderness, okay? Exodus, the 16th chapter. Okay, that's where it's coming out of. Exodus, the 16th chapter. Let's go, y'all. When the Israelites fled Egypt after over 400 years of slavery, they spent 40 years wandering in the wilderness before they entered the promised land. During this time, God provided substance for them to eat every day in the form of quail, meat, and manna. Exodus 16th chapter. Okay, manna is basically a word that means, what is it? Okay, it's a bread-like substance that fell from heaven. Psalm 78:24. Let's see what that says. Psalm 78:24. What does that read? He rained down manna for the people to eat. He gave them the grain of heaven. My God. People be saying, what is it made of? Who cares? And it tasted like honey. Okay? The Israelites would go collect a daily portion of manna each day, ensuring to get a double portion before the Sabbath day. See? So they didn't work for their food on the Sabbath. So God said, on the Sabbath day, you get a double portion. Okay? So if they grabbed too much or too little, they suffered the consequences. The consequences was, I believe, it would turn into worms and maggots and stuff like that. So I believe that's what happened. Let's read that. Exodus 16, verse 20. And it reads, however, some of them paid no attention to Moses. That's just like us. We don't pay no attention to the Holy Spirit, God, the pastor, nobody, the prophet, nobody. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it till the morning. And God said, don't keep it. But it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. See that? Hard head make a soft behind. Hello, somebody. Let's go. Tell you, boy, we got to be obedient. We got to be obedient to what God says. And exercise and trust in God's provisions. The Israelites ate this bread of heaven throughout their several decades stay in the wilderness. Several decades. A decade is 10 years. Okay? Where's manna mentioned in the Bible? We first see manna introduced in Exodus the 16th chapter. Go read it. Right before this, the Israelites complained to Moses, saying he brought them out to the desert to die with no food substance. Okay, they're not seeing all these miracles. God then brought them across the Red Sea, and they sit up there and still complaining. Sound just like us, some of us, don't it? While they grumble and say their days in slavery in Israel were better, which is the wrong answer. God provides food and doesn't let them go hungry. Okay? Numbers 11 and 8 describes what the Israelites did with this bread. They made it into cakes, boiled it, and ground it into flour. Deuteronomy 8:3, which Jesus later quotes when tempted by Satan, mentions three provisions from God. Although it also mentions that man does not live by bread alone, even if we fulfill our physical needs, we have spiritual needs as well. John 6:38 makes mention of manna, princess, as well as makes mention of manna as well. It says that even though manna filled the physical needs of the Israelites, it didn't prevent death. Okay, it wasn't a forever food. On the other hand, the bread of life, which is Jesus Christ, prevents spiritual death. Okay? Psalm 78, verses 20 through 25 calls manna the bread of angels, since this manna appeared to fall from the sky like snow. Another psalm, Psalm 105 and 40, talks about how God cared for the needs of the Israelites in the wilderness. Apart from Jesus quoting the Deuteronomy passage and the John passage above mentioned in manna, we don't see the term pop up in the New Testament. However, Jesus does make an emphasis of bread throughout his ministry. Okay? He primarily refers to himself as the bread of life, John 6:35, and explains that we need the true bread from heaven for our spiritual survival. Okay? Jesus also breaks bread during the Last Supper to show his body will be broken for us. Okay? These are all examples. 1 Corinthians 11:24. What is manna made of, and how do we have anything similar? See, we want to know everything. Because of his name, what is it? We don't know exactly know the contents of manna. Okay? The name manna means what is it? We do know it was sweet and looked like small white coriander seeds. Some have conjectured it was made from a sweet beetle cocoon that grows on green leaves and desert plants. Okay? However, we do have to keep in mind that not all scientific explanations fully fit the narratives found in the Old and New Testaments. For instance, scientists tried to form natural explanations, for the 10 plagues of Egypt, which appear to be clearly supernatural phenomena. Okay? So everything ain't going to be explained. Also in this narrative, God stops the manna in Joshua 5:12 as soon as they eat the food in the promised land. Either all these 4 beetles died out in one day, or we need an alternative explanation. In either case, we do technically have something similar listed in the article above, but if this is truly manna, we may never know. Okay? Deuteronomy 8:3, he humbled you, causing you to hunger and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you and me, okay, that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. That's Deuteronomy 8:3. Okay, where did manna come from? In the Bible, we have 2 types of manna, and both come from God and heaven alone. We'll discuss both in this section. All right? All right. We have physical manna. Edible manna the Israelites ate in the desert, as mentioned in this article. We don't know the physical or chemical composition of manna. I don't need to know. All I know is it fell from heaven and God provided. That's good enough for me. We can hazard scientific explanations, but sometimes the way Old Testament authors use images may be different than how we would describe items from heaven. Okay? For instance, if we observe the passage from Ezekiel describing angels, we may have no way to wrap our mind around all those eyes and wheels. We're talking about in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, verse 16. Then we have the second type of manna, which is Christ, the bread of life. Jesus comes to us in the wilderness, the space between here and heaven, and provides for us the true substance we need. We all need him. A lot of people don't know that, but we all need him. The bread of life to spiritually survive. We can try to describe Jesus, but Jesus is far more complex than a human explanation. Just like manna, we come up short and end up with, what is it? Both types of manna come from heaven. God provides the manna we need. Why did God send manna to the Israelites? Well, God sent manna for a few reasons during the Israelites' time in the desert. First and most practically, he wanted to meet a physical need. They didn't have many options for food or wilderness, and they began to think that God had led them into a death trap. Oh, boy, that's called stinking thinking. But I guess if you and I was out there and we, got hungry for a couple of days, we may think and say the same thing. I don't know. God provides food for them to show he meets our needs, even when situations seem most dire. So God can provide for us even in the midst of a famine. It's no problem for him. Nothing's too hard for God. Number 2, God wants the Israelites to practice, just like he wants you and I, to practice trust and obedience. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Okay? Some Israelites take too much manna on some days, and it rots in their tents full of maggots because they was disobedient. If God told you, just take just enough for the day. My brother always said, God provides daily bread. That's what God was doing for them. He wanted him to trust them on a daily basis. Okay? Not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days down the road. No, just, I got you tomorrow too. Don't worry about it. But no, we want to see everything. Come on, somebody. Other Israelites don't obey God's command to collect double portions before the Sabbath, and they end up hungry on the Sabbath because manna didn't fall that day. Hello, somebody. God is amazing. God provided manna as a way to rely on him fully. If he provided manna and the Israelites had a fresh, clean supply nearby, they wouldn't really care about God's provision. That's the truth. If they had it stacked up over there, they're not even looking for it to fall because it's stacked up over there, So that's the wrong answer. God is so amazing. I mean, he provided it every day, okay? And if you kept more than what he told you to keep, it turned to maggots. That is amazing. I I love the Lord so much. That's amazing. But they had few options in Israel like in the wilderness, so they had to exercise trust. Some of y'all in the wilderness, God is trying to teach you to exercise trust. Okay? That God will provide for you tomorrow. Don't even worry about tomorrow. Let God take care of it. Sufficient for the day is the trouble there. Don't worry about tomorrow. God will provide the next day the same way he had the day before. He ain't like us. He don't change. I might change my mind. You might say something to tick me off, and I might not give you what I promised to give you tomorrow because I'm human. Okay? There ain't no excuse for this. This facts. Okay? But God, he ain't like us. He don't think like us. He don't act like us. He don't react like us either. Hello, somebody. Third, God wanted to foreshadow the most important manna from heaven, his son Jesus. Come on, somebody. Although he provided for the physical needs of the Israelites, he knew they, along with all mankind, needed a permanent, not temporary, solution to their need for spiritual bread. God provides by way of Jesus' ministry on earth and through his death and resurrection. Because of the bread of life, we no longer hunger. Because of the bread of life, we have a chance to live. Everybody, lottie-dottie, has a chance to be with Jesus forever. All you got to do is just accept him in your heart. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever will believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's for everybody. Everybody that's alive right now. Everybody you know. I don't care if you call them a heathen, like Esther used to call Fred. Or okay? I'm telling you, man. God is awesome. So, what is manna for Christians today? As mentioned above, we need spiritual bread. We need to get in our word. We need to pray. We need to read. We need to spend time with God. Although God does provide for our physical needs, we need far more than physical bread alone. We need the bread of life to survive. Also, God may sometimes place us in a wilderness setting. Maybe we rely too much on our own abilities or our own bread in a metaphorical sense. That we've forgotten for whom all good gifts come from. So sometimes God will throw you in a wilderness situation, okay, to where you don't know where what's coming from, because he wants to show you it's coming from him. During such times, we need to exercise, I said this earlier, trust and obedience. Maybe God has placed us in a financially unstable situation. How many of y'all is in a financially unstable situation? And we still need we still need to trust God, okay? For instance, knowing he'll provide. No matter what the case, we are always in the wilderness until we reach heaven, whether we are in dire need of bread or have provisions. We haven't reached the promised land yet. During this in-between, here not yet period, we have to trust in the Lord and obey him. We need to trust in the bread of life, the true manna, for our physical and spiritual well-being. Come on, somebody. And that was number one. We're going to go through one more real short. Okay, still talking about manna, the miracle in the wilderness. Okay? The writer says, I love the story of God's provision manna for the people of Israel as they left Egypt and traveled to the promised land. The Israelites traveled through Elim after they were freed from Egypt. Many began to doubt God's provision after realizing there was no natural food there for the people to eat. God, however, is not limited to the natural. Okay? He met their needs by providing manna, okay, the flake-like bread for them to eat. Every morning they gathered fresh manna from the ground, only enough for the day. If they tried to save it for the next day, it would spoil overnight and be uneatable. The one exception to this rule came on the sixth day. However, they were to gather twice the normal amount, so they could save half of it for the next day, which at that time was the Sabbath day, because that's the one day of rest that was established by God. When they awoke on the Sabbath, they would find that the same manna had not spoiled. That is amazing, and that no new manna had fallen overnight. What an incredible story of a miracle working, supernatural, perfectly providing God. That's who we serve. Come on, somebody. All right, let's look at these. Consider these implications for the miracle of manna. God can and does meet the needs of his people. That's us, everybody that's born again. He did not need help or natural resources. It was not too big of a job. He is Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides. Number two, God provided in a precise way. God is not random. Every detail matters. Okay? God would not let the manna be saved overnight because he wanted to teach the people how to trust him day by day. Daily bread, people, daily bread. That is amazing. He knew they would need to learn to walk by faith and not by sight. See, if God provided manna for us from now all the way to next Friday, we don't really have no need to look to God. You know, we got it stacked up in the corner somewhere. No. That's walking by sight. But if God tell you, Brother Leander, I'm going to provide this manna for you, it's going to fall over here, near your back porch every morning. I need to be out there to catch it or to recover it, okay, from the grass or wherever it fall at, okay, and eat it for that day and look for it the next day. Walking by faith, not by sight. Because they would face other issues, giants in the land. In the future, that would require them to radically trust God. Okay? God did not bring manna on the sixth day in order to teach the people the importance of the Sabbath, the day of rest. This day of rest was the design of God in creation. He himself rested. So he knows the necessity of rest for his people. It wasn't God. God didn't rest because he was tired, okay? He did that for us, okay? As an example, not an example because God is alive. An example is an ex somebody that's gone. God is alive, so it's an example, okay? He wanted to teach the people his presence. Cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night was most important. I mean, I can't even imagine. I seen it on a movie, but I couldn't even imagine. Could you imagine that? A cloud of fire? That is amazing. That's just amazing. People don't think about that. They think it's all far-fetched. But when our holy Jesus cracked that sky and come back and rapture us, they're going to know then. Number three, God provided the Israelites the bread they needed while reminding them that man does not live by bread alone. Implicit and explicit in this 40-year miracle was a complete dependency on God. 40 years. While we all need food to survive, our deepest need is him. Okay, what's going on, Cousin Edward? Okay, our deepest need is God. Number four, God uses the manna to foreshadow the greater reality of the bread of life, of which one can eat and be satisfied forever. When you give your life to the Lord and you live with him and for him, he's total satisfaction. He's the total package. He's all that and all the bags of chips you could ever eat, all they could ever create. The Israelites ate the manna, but still died. Okay? When we partake of the true bread, which has come down from heaven, we will live forever. Okay? The manna was both a miracle and a message. Only God can provide. Only God can satisfy. Only God saves from death. Only God is the breath of life. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Put it on your page. It's going on YouTube. This has been a Brother Leander Moment, /devotion, miracle in the wilderness. We was talking about the manna that fell from heaven. Y'all have a blessed day, and we'll catch you Sunday, Lord's will. All right? Have a blessed day. Later.